Hey guys, Horrorman back for another review. So today we're going to go ahead and take a look at the brand new NECA Ultimate Terminator 1 figure. Now this figure is basically what we're used to as far as packaging with the standard box packaging, and it's got this really cool original Terminator poster on the front. So really nice the way they did it. You can see there's just a little bit of like a story on the front here that you can read. But yeah, this is the basic poster that you got for Terminator 1. Now on the sides and the top, you can see this kind of like red, I guess like a grid pattern. It's like the tracking system, something like that. And it just says the Terminator on the sides. And then you can also see some really good photography of the Noir Terminator. Alright, and then as with all the other Ultimates, you have this nice flap in the front. Another great picture on the side here. And then you can see the figure clearly displayed in here. And there's multiple weapons and accessories and a couple different head sculpts to choose from. And then you have this little piece of Velcro just to secure the lid. And the only difference with this one is I did remove the little twisty tie doohickey, but this is exactly what it looks like in the box when you get it. Alright, so let's go ahead and take it out of the box and see what it looks like. Okay, so here's everything out of the box, and you can see he has a full arsenal and a pretty good selection of accessories for him. You can see he's got a couple different interchangeable heads, he's got an interchangeable arm, interchangeable hand, and he's got 3 different guns and a couple of these little accessories, basically for doing his little operation on his arm. Alright, so before we get into the accessories, let's go ahead and get a nice close-up of the first head sculpt. Alright, so here's the first Tech Noir head sculpt for the T-800 Terminator, otherwise known as Arnie. Very good. This is actually my favorite head sculpt of the bunch. This is basically when he first appeared in the movie. Well, really just before he gets all damaged. You can see he's got a little bit more longer hair. He does have eyebrows, and he's just got this like really intimidating look. He just looks like a guy you definitely don't want to mess with. But they did an excellent job of capturing Arnold's likeness. He's very young in this movie, but I really like the way that head sculpt is done. Excellent work. Now this second head sculpt kind of reflects after one of the earlier scenes, basically when he gets in a crash, and it's one of his first encounters, if not, I guess the first encounter, finding Sarah and of course finding Kyle Reese, which he didn't plan on stumbling across. And what happened here is in one of the crashes, there's a little bit of fire, and his eyebrows actually get singed off along with his hair. So he has this more shorter hair sculpt, and you could see like it looks like they've been singed at the top. So they did a really good job with that. And then of course, like I said, there's no eyebrows, but there's no actual damage to the skin or anything. He mainly just lost a little bit of hair. Now for the third and final head sculpt, this is where things get a little bit different. He actually has to, he has a little bit of issue, and he has to do some operating on his eye, because his eye was completely, his face was really torn up, but he has to take out his regular, I guess, fake eye. So when he's doing the surgery, he's got the blood running down and he pops his eyeball out. So again, a really good sculpt. And as far as accessories go, your first one's going to be this nice shotgun here. It's a little bit warped, but you can just, heat it up a little bit or just kind of bend it and it'll go back to shape. But really nice detail in here, got some good coloring going on. Pretty much what you would expect. And the second gun is an Uzi. Again, this is, it's the earlier weapons that he uses. Pretty nice detail again. And the third and final weapon is this great weapon here, which is my favorite, and it's the handgun with laser scope. You'll probably remember this one from when he's in the Noir club and he finally finds Sarah and he has a red dot right on her face and he just doesn't get to pull the trigger. But this would have been the gun that changed everything. But you know, luckily Kyle Reese stepped in and stopped Arnold for doing that. So really cool gun. Alright, so besides the great accessories Arnold comes with, he's got some really good articulation, just like any of the other figures in the Ultimate line. So the head's basically on that standard ball joint that you can expect. He's got some really good down movement, not so much up, but he can look up a little bit. But you should be able to get plenty of expression through the different poses in the head sculpt. He's put his arms out about this far, and he does have some rotation at the wrist, and you can bend it just a little bit, not too much. It'd been nice if they did a double joint on the elbow, but you really haven't seen that by NECA. And the wrist, standard swivel there, and then he can cradle the wrist just a little bit. And then there's also a twist at the waist, and he can not really like an ab crunch in here, just a twist. And then the legs can go out about that far, and then the knees can bend, which is great with the Ultimate figures. They all have knee articulation. And then the boot does have some movement, a little bit of up and down, and it could rock just a little bit. And then it's also worth noting that the chain is a real chain on here. Just be careful of that. Doesn't seem like it's going to come out of there easily, but just be leery that it is there. So you also get an interchangeable arm, and it's just going to be starting at the elbow, and this pretty much replicates the scene where he's doing some work onto his forearm here. So you can go ahead and pop this off, which is pretty easy, just a standard peg, and then you just pop that in, and he still has articulation on here, and then you can see he's got that crazy looking operation going on his arm. Now you're also going to get a interchangeable hand, and this can go on his left arm, and then just again just a regular peg like you used to. And then you'll just pop this on here, and now you have the ability to hold like guns in two hands. It's also worth noting that the wrist right here, the hand is not removable. This arm piece, it's just really for this one pose, so you can't use this other hand. Due to the articulation and the jacket, you really can't get him in that two-arm pose that looks like he's operating on himself. You can take one of these little sutures and you could put it in the hand that has the operation going, but yeah, because he doesn't have the double hinged elbows, you really can't get him to do that little surgery. Now, interchanging the head takes a little bit of muscle, but they will go in there very nicely. Just grip the figure pretty well and just pop that off. He's got that big peg there, and then you could just put this head on, and it's a little tougher to get on than to take off. And once it's off, you get this really cool extra head. And again, you have actually one more interchangeable head, and that's just the singed hair one without the eye messed up. If you have any of the older Terminator figures, such as Terminator 1 or even Terminator 2, it does look like the heads can interchange just fine. So if you do have those past figures, you can go ahead and customize and create your own little version of Arnold. Now, though this is completely inaccurate of the movie, still looks pretty cool. And as I mentioned, with the extra interchangeable hand, you can now put Arnold in a pose with 2 guns. And he does come with 3 different guns, so it gives you a little bit more room for display options. So for the first comparison, here's the Noir Terminator next to another Terminator from Terminator 1, and this is the version right after he does like all the surgery and everything, changes his outfit. So these do look a lot different. They are from the same movie. And then with these original ones, there's no knee articulation, so these legs are in a static pose. So they look great next to each other, but it really is nice to have these knee articulation. And here he is next to Sarah Connor, and this Sarah Connor is from Terminator 2, but they do stack up great next to each other. Here is the Terminator 1's main mission, Sarah Connor. So yeah, it's really cool to have these two next to each other. Maybe we'll get a Terminator 1 version of her one day, but until then, this looks great. And for the last comparison, here he is next to one of his relatives, and this is the red Terminator from the RoboCop vs. Terminator video game. Now, one thing I've noticed about these is that the actual robot Terminators come off as a little bit taller than the regular human Terminator skin, like over the robot, so it doesn't really make any sense. So not sure what happened with the scale here, but they still look really cool next to each other. Alright, so that's my review of the NECA Ultimate Noir Terminator. All in all, I'm definitely happy with this figure. I unfortunately missed the first run of this, along with some of the other Terminator figures, so I've been collecting a lot of these Ultimate versions. I do have pretty much all the Ultimate Terminators at this point, except for the T-1000, so I'm really happy with the way NECA's re-releasing these. You know, for people that did collect the original line, you really have more options with these Ultimate figures. You can use some of the older parts, the older guns, the older head sculpts that may not have come with these Ultimate versions and swap out everything. So, you know, it's a really nice way to display everything. Giving you all the extra accessories is just really cool. The knee articulation is great. And this figure originally was made, I believe, about 5 or 6 years ago. So it's, you know, it's a little dated at this point. So updating it, giving it better articulation, paying a little more attention to the sculpt, particularly with this head sculpt, it's a much bigger improvement over the original. So these aren't just straight re-releases of figures that they've already had. They're clearly updating it and making them the Ultimate version. So you can pick this up at Toys R Us, or also you know, local shops and comic shops, you know, toy stores online. Comic shops should be receiving them soon. Your best bet at this moment, if you really want it, is to go on toysrus.com. So please like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, and until next time, guys, see ya.